Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name? Tucker. D-U-D-K-E-R. Miss Tucker, do you know a man named Carlton Weekly? Yes. How do you know him? He's my son's father. Does Mr. Weekly have a nickname? Yes. And what is it? Duck? Is he some FBG Duck? So I'm going to show you what's been marked as Government Exhibit 503, and it's on your screen for your purposes right now. Do you recognize the person who is depicted in Government Exhibit 503? Yes. And who do you know that person to be? Duck? Does that picture, Government Exhibit 503, fairly and accurately depict the person you know to be Carlton Weekly, also known as FBG Duck, from around the last time you saw him? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Government Exhibit 503 into evidence. It's admitted. Permission to publish. You may. Also, if I could ask the witness, please, to pull the microphone a little closer to you. Thank you. Miss Tucker, is Mr. Weekly still living? No. How did he die? He was shot. Do you know when? Murdered. August 4th, 2020. Your Honor, may we unpublish for a moment? Yes. Miss Tucker, I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 576. Do you recognize any of the people depicted in Government Exhibit 576? Yes. Which one? All three? So I want to ask you about the person who's in the middle of the photograph. Do you recognize that person? Yes. And the person in the middle is wearing a black t-shirt and what looks like a shiny puffy coat? Yes. Who do you know that person to be? Duck? So same questions or similar ones that I've asked before. Does that photograph, person in the middle, Government Exhibit 576, fairly and accurately depict Duck as he appeared from when you last saw him? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Government Exhibit 576 into evidence. It's admitted. Permission to publish. You may. And Miss Tucker, when did you first meet Duck? 2012. Were the two of you romantically involved at any point in time? Yes. How long did the two of you date? On and off for 8 years. So fairly to say, starting back in 2012? Is it, well, let me ask the question this way. Have you spent time around Duck's family over the years? Yes. Do you know some of his family members? Yes. Your Honor, may we unpublish for a moment? Yes. I'm showing you, Miss Tucker, what's marked as Government Exhibit 569. Do you recognize any of the people depicted in Government Exhibit 569? Yes. And who do you recognize in this photograph? Both people. So I want to ask you about the person who is on the left of the photograph in black, appears to be a black hat and a black shirt. Do you know who that person is? Yes. Who do you know that person to be? Jermaine. Do you know Jermaine's last name? Robertson. Does Mr. Robertson, do you know if he has a nickname? Yes. What is it? Brick. Is Brick someone you've met in real life? Yes. How long would you say that you've known or knew Brick? 2012 until his passing. And when did Brick pass? 2017. Does this photograph, Government Exhibit 569, fairly and accurately depict the person you knew to be Brick up until the point of his passing? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Government Exhibit 569 into evidence. It's admitted. Permission to publish? You may. Now, Miss Tucker, you mentioned that Brick passed away. Do you know how Brick passed away? He was shot. Miss Tucker, have you spent time around Duck's friends over the years? Yes. Do you know who some of his friends are? Some of them, yes. Your Honor, may we unpublish? Yes. I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 574. Do you recognize the person depicted in 574? Yes. Who do you know that person to be? K.I. Do you know K.I.'s real name? Jakira. Do you know Jakira's last name? Barnes. And is Jakira Barnes someone you met in real life? Yes. Does this photograph, Government Exhibit 574, fairly and accurately depict the person you knew to be Jakira Barnes? Yes. Your Honor, could we have a quick sidebar? Sure. I'm showing you, Miss Tucker, what's marked as Government Exhibit 558. Do you recognize the person depicted in Government Exhibit 558? Yes. Who do you know that person to be? Rakeem. Do you know Rakeem's last name? Wilton. Is Rakeem Wilton someone you know in real life? Yes. You've met Rakeem Wilton before? Yes. Okay. Does this photograph, Government Exhibit 558, fairly and accurately depict the person you know to be Rakeem Wilton? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Government Exhibit 558 into evidence. It's admitted. Permission to publish? You may. Now, may we unpublish one more time, Your Honor? Yes. Miss Tucker, I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 568. Do you recognize any of the people depicted in Government Exhibit 568? Yes. Who do you know those people to be? Rakeem and Jakira. Does this photograph, Government Exhibit 568, fairly and accurately depict the people you know to be Rakeem Wilton and Jakira Barnes? Yes. Your Honor, I move to admit Government Exhibit 568 into evidence. It's admitted. May it be published? Yes. And, Miss Tucker, we talked about Jakira Barnes as someone you knew. Is Miss Barnes still living? No. Do you know approximately when it was that Miss Barnes passed away? 2014. Did you know how Miss Barnes passed away? She was shot. I want to change gears a little bit, Miss Tucker. Are you familiar with the area of 63rd Street and St. Lawrence Avenue on the south side of Chicago? Yes. How are you familiar with that area? Through being around Duck. Have you been to that area before? A couple of times. Do you know what STL is? St. Lawrence? Do you know what STL is? Oh, yes. What is STL? A street? Is there a gang that operates in STL territory? Yes. And what gang is that? I believe like GDs. I believe something like that. And would you mind just pulling that microphone a little bit closer to you? Was Duck a part of STL? Yeah. Miss Tucker, do you know what Tuckerville is? Yes. What is Tuckerville? A group of people. Are you familiar with someone named Shondell Tuka Gregory? Yes. And how are you familiar with who Tuka is? He was a friend of Duck's that was murdered. Have you ever seen Duck post pictures of Tuka on social media? Yes. Your Honor, may we unpublish? Yes. Miss Tucker, I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 575. Have you seen the photograph that's depicted as what's up on your screen as Government Exhibit 575 before? Yes. Have you seen Duck post this photograph before? I believe so. And who do you understand the person in this picture to be? Tuka. Is Government Exhibit 575 a fair and accurate depiction of the person you understand to be Shondell Tuka Gregory? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Government Exhibit 575 into evidence. It's submitted. Permission to publish? Yes. All right. May we unpublish, Your Honor? Yes. Your Honor, may we have a sidebar? Sure. Miss Tucker, are you familiar with what Parkway Gardens is? Yes. Are you familiar with where Parkway Gardens is? Yeah. Have you ever been to Parkway Gardens? No. When you and Duck spend time together, did the two of you avoid certain areas? Yes. And how, if at all, did that affect the way that you two spend time together? Well, we would avoid certain places because he didn't want to run into certain people. So, what kind of places would the two of you avoid? Local neighborhoods like Parkway, 63rd, 60th from maybe State to King Drive, different parts of the city. We would go on the outskirts most of the time. And what kinds of things would the two of you do as you were avoiding those areas that you just mentioned? In other words, were there specific places that you would go as a result of avoiding those places you just told the jury about? Like the suburbs? Yes, if I'm understanding your question correctly. So, south suburbs or just anywhere suburb of Chicago? Yes. But not places closer to STL territory? Right, or Parkway, or... Yes. Now, you mentioned that the two of you would avoid Parkway Gardens when you spend time together. Did the two of you avoid people from Parkway Gardens when you were spending time together? Yes. Miss Tucker, I want to show you what's marked, changing gears a little bit, what's marked as Government Exhibit 717. Do you recognize the people depicted on the left side of the screen in Government Exhibit 717? Yes. Who is that person that you recognize on the left side of Government Exhibit 717? Duck. Are you familiar with the Facebook account depicted in Government Exhibit 717? Yes. And how are you familiar with this account? I have seen it a few times. So switching gears, I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 721. Do you recognize the person? And I'm going to circle, maybe not. It's going to describe there's a person in the middle of the screen. Do you recognize that person? Yes. Who do you recognize that person to be? Duck. Are you familiar with the Instagram account that's depicted in Government Exhibit 721? Yes. And how are you familiar with this account? I've seen it a few times, social media. Have you interacted with this account or, been on this page before? Yes. And Your Honor, I'm not moving to admit 717 and 721 at this time. Okay. Miss Tucker, was Duck a musician? Yes. What kind of music did he make? All different types, rap, R&B. What kind of music did he make? Like drill music? And what would you consider to be drill music? Sort of newer generation, kind of like music that get them make them, feel good, kind of turn them up, make them want to party and stuff, maybe? Generally speaking, what kind of stuff did Duck talk about in his music? all different types of stuff. Do you know if Duck, for example, made songs that were considered to be diss songs towards rivals? Yes. Did he make music that was not diss records towards other people? Yes. Do you know if there were people who made diss songs about Duck in their music? Yes. Is that music that you've heard before? Yes. And who were some of the people that you understood to be Duck's rivals that would make songs dissing him? Like Keith, Objection Judge, Foundation. We can go to sidebar if... Okay. Miss Tucker, have you heard songs that were about Duck, dissing Duck? Yes. And who were some of the people that made those songs that were dissing Duck in their music? Little Dirk, King Von. Without getting into the specifics of any conversations that you might have had, typically I don't want to know things that you might have discussed. Did you have conversations with Duck about these songs and the fact people would diss him in their music? Yes. And did hearing some of these diss songs about Duck and your awareness of it affect the way that you and Duck spend time together? Yes. In what way? Well, we would avoid going to certain areas. Did Duck ever do anything in response to these diss songs about him? Let me ask it a different way. Did Duck ever make any diss songs in response to these songs dissing him? Your Honor, could we have a sidebar?